I want to take a look here at our current position in terms of the economy, where everything sits with the US dollar, our debt, and take a good look back at history, the Great Depression, and some of the key information that Wikipedia and others leave out that led up to that and the reasoning for that. Now, this is all about control globally. When it comes to this fiat reserve system, all these countries printing paper money, most of them not backed by anything, no gold, anything like that. And in this instance, over the past decade, there has been an unprecedented stock market boom that has created thousands upon thousands of new millionaires. And I doubt any of you listening right now are one of those people. And yet the middle class in America this whole time has continued to shrink. As you can see, they're saying right here. So we have a shrinking middle class. And at one time, the United States had the largest, most vibrant middle class in the history of the planet. Now, the gap between the wealthy and the poor is the largest that it has been since the 1920s. And that is right before we walked into the Great Depression. The economy has been creating lots of new millionaires, but at the exact same time, we have seen the homelessness spiral out of control in major cities. So the gap is widening. Now, let's take a look back at the Great Depression real quick and go over a few key things here. I'm just going to read from this article and fill in some blanks. The Depression was caused by a number of serious weaknesses in the economy. It says, although the 1920s appeared on the surface to be a prosperous time, as of right now, they would say the same thing. As I just said, the stock market had been booming, creating wealthy people, but back then the income was being unevenly distributed. The wealthy made large profits, but more and more Americans spent more than they earned. Sound familiar? Farmers faced low prices and heavy debt. The lingering effects of World War I caused economic problems in many different countries. Europe had struggled to pay off war debt. And in terms of the United States, what they do not mention here or on Wikipedia is the fact of the well-known meeting that took place on Jekyll Island. J.P. Morgan and all their goons, they created a false run on the banks. They spread false rumors that allowed them to take hordes of money from everyone. In this process, they made out big time while the rest of the people in America and around the globe felt the wrath of the Great Depression. As it started here in America, it was felt around the globe when the economy collapsed. The same will be this next time around. This was brought into focus on Black Thursday, October 24th, 1929, when 16 million shares of stock were quickly sold because of that false rumor spread by panicking investors. And it says who had lost faith in the American economy, but it doesn't tell you why. I just filled in the blank there for you. Now you know why. The offspring of J.P. Morgan Chase have huge banks all around the globe today, and they only got there because of the huge heist that they pulled off during the Great Depression. That's all y'all's money. Righteously, legitimately, I'm not just saying that. They robbed us blind in a plot that has been exposed since. So all that should be given back to the people, and I'm serious. I'm serious. Yet people will make no action to do so, to go get what's rightfully yours, which was taken from everyone and should be taken back and divided amongst the people. Everything that was taken in a huge heist, so to speak, where they created false rumors to have everyone dump everything, and they bought everything up on pennies on the dollar, and got all kinds of wealth out of the move. So if they did that then, pay attention to what could happen this next time around. Now, wage income for workers who were lucky enough to have kept their jobs in that time frame fell almost 43% between 1929 and 1933. Many farmers had lost their jobs, their homes, and were going hungry, as we're seeing the homelessness here in this country. What is going on? It says, faced with disaster, families split up or migrated from their homes in search of work. And this is where you had people just hopping on the trains, abandoned cars, in scrap towns springing up, gangs of youth where the families could no longer support them, rode the rails in boxcars across the country and headed for what they called the new land of milk and honey in California, where they thought there would be more food, pretty much, where they could just pick it off the tree. And factories closed, mills, mines, all abandoned, fortunes were lost. American businesses and labor were both in serious trouble. And it says, unable to help themselves, the American public looked to the federal government. You hear that? Do you hear that? And they were dissatisfied with the current president situation, and they elected Franklin D. Roosevelt as their president in 1932. And he brought forth this bold experiment called the New Deal. This was, in other words, a new deal between the relationship of the American people and the government. This New Deal. Also, Franklin D. Roosevelt was the only president in U.S. history to be elected for 4 terms in office. Now, there's some high tariffs and war debt, cause of the Great Depression. Do you see this? High tariffs and war debt. Things are very eerily similar to where we're sitting today. Overproduction in industry and agriculture, stock market crash, and financial panic. Now, today, we're in a situation where our debt is out of control. It is a huge, huge factor at play here. And you can see here, we are losing the ability to take care of ourselves. It has frightening implications for the future of our society, and it's the truth. So, if you add in all these factors today, if you want a college education, you're a program, you have to go in debt to get it. How many people out there have been stuck in massive debt because of that crap and never got a job when they got out? I already know. You want a new vehicle, same thing, got to go in debt. You want a home, same thing, got to go in debt. Get out that credit card, go in debt. That's what this country has been built on. Now, if you look at this, 14 facts about how the middle class in America is shrinking. This is very interesting. 78 million Americans are participating in the gig economy because full-time jobs just don't pay enough to make ends meet these days. In 2011, the average home price was 3.56 times the average yearly salary in the United States. But by the time 2017 was finished, the average home price was then 4.73, so it had risen. 1980, the average American worker debt was 1.96 times larger than his or her monthly salary. Today, the number has ballooned to 5.0, as you can see right here. In the United States today, 66% of all jobs pay less than $20 an hour. That is significant. Earnings for low-skilled jobs have stayed flat for the last 40 years. Americans have been spending more money than they make for 28 months in a row. In the United States today, the average young adult with student loan debt has a negative net worth. At this point, the average American household is nearly $140,000 in debt. Poverty in the United States suburbs has increased by 50% since 1990. Almost 51 million U.S. households can't afford basics like rent and food. The bottom 40% of all U.S. households bring home just 11.4% of all income. All the rest going to the wealthy. In number 13, according to the Federal Reserve, 4 out of 10 Americans do not have enough money to cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing the money from someone else. 22% of all Americans cannot pay all their bills in a typical month. This is just some staggering numbers here that show where we sit at this moment in time, without a doubt. This is not a good situation. When you compare it to history, you can see where things sit. And I'm going to leave some links here where you guys can read into both these further. Make sure to tune into Underground World News Live Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on Dabu 77. Be talking about this more. Peace.